Bonjour, Kinamagi and Nene, Ireland Indigenous, and welcome on this wet and windy Wednesday to an overview of our Week 18 learning plan. We'll begin this episode on our stream page, as we often do. Just a few highlights, and this is always accessible to students, what you see here. And if you want to sit with them, you can have them log in into their Google Classroom using their @sagchipschool.net email and take a moment to look at this with them. Always has a link to contact me. During the break, I will be available via email frequently. I may have periods of time where I'm traveling and it might be a few hours. We'll be traveling to the East Coast, and the Appalachians don't always give me the best reception on my cell phone. But if you send me an email, I will reply as soon as possible. Please do allow a little turnaround time. I can answer questions over logins if students are using some of their technology during the break. Or if you need a break and you're like, hey, why don't you go work on writing or math or something to that effect, I'd be more than happy to provide that information to you. Preferably, if you need login information, if you could contact me between December 17th, which is Friday, and Wednesday afternoon or after the 27th. In the middle, I will be out of town and I will not have my Chromebook with me, so it'll be a little harder to get that information. I may still be able to get some of your logins via my cell phone, but I haven't tried that yet. But other questions I'll be able to answer for sure. You'll see our Week 18 learning plan. The current one up here is Week 17, and that's going to stay up on this page until we return in January. So you'll see two of them. Our most recent newsletter, we'll be uploading a new one today, and it'll be in this video as well. So that'll be posted this morning. You can see December's lunch menu. That'll be gone after Friday, and January's will be live. And I will be cleaning it out so that any newsletter from November or before will be deleted. I always send these out in your email, so if you ever need to look back, please feel free. If you need a specific one, you can send me an email and I can attach it. All right, so let's begin by looking at said newsletter here. Some calendar notes today. December 15th is a half day. This is why you're receiving this email. Hopefully, if everything goes well, before 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a half day for PD. We will be serving lunch today, but students who ride the bus to the gym after school do need to be picked up at SCA at noon. After school on Friday, the 17th, we will go into winter break. We will return on Monday, January 3rd. And then we have 2 weeks before the quarter ends. Happy fun here. Holiday festivities. We're going to watch A Christmas Carol, the Muppet version, rated G, as we've been reading the book here in the last 2 weeks. One of the things that we're going to do is be able to compare the book to the movie. So there is an academic portion, but it's also a good time to relax. I will be bringing in juice and a small snack. You're not obligated to bring in anything. If you do, please make it something that's individually wrapped. So I'm picturing like a snack cake or something like that, that it's wrapped. This is due to COVID, so we won't be bringing in pizza or, big things where everyone's putting their fingers in it. There are 22 students and staff in our class. Note about clothing. Winter is here. I'm not sure I believe that this morning, as it's 42 degrees and raining when I left my house in Midland this morning. Now it's just cloudy after I'm a little bit wet. We do go outside for recess and mass breaks in the lodge. it is a good idea to make sure that your students have a little extra clothing at school. When there's snow on the ground, they love to play in. It's like a magnetic attraction. And instead of having them calling home for you, if they could have an extra pair of even sweatpants and a sweatshirt, some dry clothes that they can change into. Please make sure that they come dressed for the appropriate day. Like next week, a coat might have been very much necessary. Today, a sweatshirt would have been. Welcome to Michigan weather, and having our students somehow be ready for those given days. We are continuing to mask in the classroom. The only reason you saw me without a mask at this video is I am the only person in this building at this time. Masks are not required while outdoors, but they are required at all times indoors. We'll talk a little bit more about technology use here in just a moment. You can see some other upcoming events. This newsletter is in your email when this comes to you here. All right, let's look at our learning plan for the week when we return in January. Can you believe it's 2022? Well, it will be when we start this. We'll be moving into our next section on narrative nonfiction, literary nonfiction, by learning about Edith Markham, My Century. We'll have a few more opportunities here to show what you know as we're moving towards the end of the second quarter. Writing City is going to include a big change. We have been doing this online now for a year and a half, basically, due to COVID and really the uncertainty that comes with, are we going to be online? Are we going to be at home? It is my observation that the online isn't what's working best for some of our students. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to paper and pencil when we come back from break. If that's a concern to you, please do email me. I'd be more than happy to listen, and we can kind of look at your student individually, whether being online, using the online component is what's best for them. Because it's not really difficult to run both. But what I'm seeing is a lot of students will just kind of rush through it on the online form, and it'll show done on my end. So if it's a day or two, if it's a day later, now we're kind of, before I look at it and I notice that they put 2 letters, it makes it more difficult. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we'll be doing a narrative review and getting another opportunity to show what they know as far as narrative writing skills, and have that opportunity to improve their grades on the second report card. Friday is a makeup day. I would expect that some students will still be finishing up their narrative, and that is a-okay. Writing City, anything through 3A still needs to be done online, and I'll show you how you can check that with your student over break here in just a few moments. Math, we're going to start a new unit in chapter 7 when we come back. Science, we're starting a new unit there too. We're going to move out of the world systems and a little bit into space here. Social studies, we're continuing with colonization, focusing on the English colonies along the Atlantic seaboard. Math, review, and enrichment, I continue to focus on geometry and multiplication and division. If your students like Mr. Ireland's always doing division, they're right. We're still practicing that. One thing that can be very helpful to students is mastering math facts. If you have flashcards available, you can make them. The dollar store has them generally, where you could review their math facts and kind of help them memorize. That would be very helpful to many of our students, and it won't hurt any of them. I recommend dollar store flashcards because they're $1. Well, now $1.25, whatever it might be, $1.10. There's no difference between that and spending $4 or $5 at someplace else. It's easy also if you want to buy note cards, students can take the math multiplication table and make their own cards. It's not a bad thing to practice even with students in other grades, so they can kind of sit down with brother and sister and practice the flashcards. Technology, we're going to continue on with as is with that. Our wondrous education block, We're continuing things like citizenship, words their way, math groups, reading groups, those kind of things, as we move into the second semester. Quill is one I'll show you here in just a moment as well. Friday is currently scheduled for Friday. When we return, that's our field trip, team building. Last time we visited Painted Turtle, so Chimi Gwetch to the staff there for their assistance and with our kiddos. You'll hear more information on that when we return. If you had filled out the permission slip when we went to Bundy Hill, you're all good. Covered it all. Speaking of technology, I am going to attach the public version of this email to, well, you're getting the regular copy, but being the video, I have the public version. You'll get this. It has a lot of, here's how to do things. Or if you hear me say, click on the pancake, you'll understand what we're talking about. The to-do thing here, take that with a grain of salt. I do post these videos so that they can get to them, but the majority of the work we do is paper and pencil. So the to-do would show you a ton of missing work that probably isn't missing. So if you want to know if your student's doing the work, please do email me. Do not use the to-do. It's in there. That will be useful if we ever have to do any, well, you know what I mean. I'm not going to say it out loud, put that into the environment there, but it's there if we need it. The 5th grade Padlet, it's linked in the Google Classroom under the classwork tab. And I'll be updating this again here in the next couple days or the beginning of the week. But you can access what we're working on, links to different things. In fact, I'll show that to you here in just a moment. We might as well bring that up right away. And you can see the different sites that we're using. This is just helpful information to you, some of which we're going to talk about here in a second. All right, so I mentioned the Padlet. So I go over here. The Zoom links, by the way, we mostly use them in the classroom, but if your student's out sick, you could send me a quick email saying, hey, so my child's going to watch online, and I can adapt how I'm positioned for the day, but I use this, that way I'm not in front of the board during things like math. But if you go classroom links, 5th grade Padlet, learn from home. There are multiple Padlets that I have, but this is the one we're using. You can log into ST Math or Khan Academy. If you need Kids A to Z, citizenship, be updating on there. So there's a lot of different things. Prodigy, multiplication, a math trainer, times tables, that's a good one. Links to the SCIT education homepage, school.net. Newsela, PHET simulations are pretty cool. Code.org. A lot of students love that one. Duolingo, some of our students like to practice through that. We also have a link to the Ojibwe People's Dictionary. This is a really cool resource, and it does not require any logins to get to this. It does require logins if you were trying to get into Epic or Reading A to Z, Writing City, and the like. Speaking of some of those content, and I'm using one of our students who is caught up as of this morning to talk about how to check what they have to do. To get to something like words their way, you're going to go down to words their way. Your student will only see one of these. It's split up into 5 different groups. So if you get to the one that's showing, we're on week 17 right now. You click on it, it'll bring them to a screen that asks them to log in using their sagchipschool.net email or log in with Google. And you can click and see, oh, this is what's done. But what's really useful to you as a parent or guardian is to click here. And it hasn't tabbed. So if their student hadn't started on any work on that particular week, and we started at week 5, I believe, in the first quarter, it'll be there. If it's in progress there, completed, and finish into this young person for having it done, it piles up here. If this had been something that they needed to do under in progress or not started, there you go. Quill.org is another new one using Mr. Jade in here. We haven't got through all of them yet this week. So that's why you'll see some of them that's saying start. But they can practice with different skills. This is in order to avoid the lovely grammar worksheets that nobody likes. The forest doesn't like them. The kids don't like them. Teachers aren't really that fond of them either. But they can practice by the skill online. And I won't click on one because I don't want to mess with their work. Writing City, this is me. So that's why Mr. Ireland is way behind, apparently. If you click, have them log in Writing City, and that's available on any of these links. They'll take you to the same screen. And that screen right here, under the home page, it'll have any assignment that's not complete. So by the end of the quarter, they really should have completed everything in Unit 2 and Unit 3A. We will be in progress on 3B as the quarter ends. That's going to be more of a focus in the third quarter to finish up and grade. But if they have a lot of things here, so let's say I want to click on today's, and now you should do 3A and 2 in order. So don't start on day 13 because it builds off it. So let's start day 1. Student just has to click start. There's a video. They can't move ahead until after. So they watch the video, click step 2. There's some resources here if they need it, that they can look back on, some practice games and lessons. But this is definitely something you might want to sit with them on over the break and make sure they're kind of caught up so that they're not stressed out at the end. All right. Hopefully that was very informative, and I look forward to seeing the students when they return on Monday, January 3rd. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out either this week or via email over the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions about what things they should be working on, please email me. Hope everyone has a safe, happy, and healthy holiday. And I can't wait to see all of our students when we return in January. So chi miigwech, and have a minagijagad. Malapi.